Hi everyone, thank you so much for joining today's webinar. We're really excited to have you with us today to talk about the Cisco Meraki deployment in Rancho Cordova, California. I've got Jay Hadley and David McCoy on the call with me today. Are you guys there?
Yep, we're here.
Perfect. All right, so let's go ahead and move on. We've got some really great content lined up for everyone today. My name is Emily. I'm a product marketing manager here at Cisco. I'm here to walk you through the webinar today and give you a demo. Jay and David have graciously allowed us to demo the Rancho Cordova network itself. So it's live customer network when we go through the demos. But here's the agenda. What we're going to do is give a brief introduction to Cisco Meraki and cloud networking for those who may not be familiar with us and our solution. Then we're going to launch pretty quickly into the case study. So we'll be talking to Jay and David. It's really intended to be a bit of a fireside chat. We'll have some slides as background going through, but we really want to solicit questions from you, the audience. So if you do have any questions, please type those into the Q&A panel. My colleagues in the room with me today are going to be here collecting those questions. They're going to be writing them up on a board, so I'll be able to pose them to Jay and to David as we go along. So again, type all questions in the Q&A box in your GoToWebinar panel. Then what we'll do is we will launch into a live demo. So we'll check out the Rancho Cordova network, and if there's time, we'll wrap up with some additional Q&A and an overview of our product line. So before we begin, those of you who are qualified IT professionals on the webinar today, really excited to offer you a free access point. It's an 11N access point, 100% yours to keep and use. It's a great way to get your hands on Cisco Meraki technology. We'll throw in a 3-year cloud management license with it as well. So it will be fully operational. If you have any questions about eligibility, definitely check out that URL at the bottom of your screen. And to get your access point to you, we do need you to call us and confirm your shipping information. So I would check your inbox for a reminder email about today's webinar. In there should be some contact information for your Cisco Meraki rep, phone number or an email. That's who you're going to call to confirm your shipping information. And if you don't see that, no, or definitely check your spam folders. All right. Without further ado, so for those of you who are not familiar with Cisco Meraki, Meraki as a company was founded in 2006 by a research team from MIT. They were working with wireless access points. Basically, it was called the RoofNet project while they were at MIT. They were climbing on top of apartment building rooftops, affixing wireless access points to them, trying to figure out how to manage those from the internet. They branched out to include other product areas as well. So we have a full stack solution. We've got wireless, we've got switching, we've got security appliances, and we have 100% free mobile device management solutions as well. And what happened was Cisco acquired us in 2012. So we are the new cloud networking group at Cisco. We're really excited by that. We actually are continuing full speed ahead with development across all 4 product lines that I mentioned, and we've been seeing some incredible year-on-year growth, over 100%, explosive growth, in fact, across all verticals, and we've gotten a lot of accolades in the media from the IT analysts and for our product line. So you'll get to see the demo shortly, and you'll see what we're talking about. So we are trusted by several clients in the public sector space. You can see a few of them here. It's not a comprehensive list, but we did want to show you some of your peers who are using Cisco Meraki products. Now, that said, we do span many different verticals. Everything from professional services, retail, manufacturing, and construction, healthcare, finance, K-12 and education, et cetera, and we do scale very large, as well as have customers who are fairly small. So we span sort of a gamut, and this is just an example of some folks who are our clients in the public sector space. So we often get asked the question when we're introducing Cisco Meraki, why would I even want to look at cloud networking? And the answer to that is that basically the cloud increases IT efficiency, and it does so around the 3 buckets that you see on your screen. So manageability, scalability, and cost savings. In terms of manageability, what you're going to see when we go through the demo, and as Jay and David tell us a little bit more about their network, you're going to see this incredible end-to-end visibility and control. So literally all the way out from the perimeter of your network with maybe an MX security appliance, all the way down into the individual client device if you're using our Systems Manager mobile device management product. Literally you can, from anywhere in the world that you have internet access from any internet accessible device, log into your dashboard, get an overview of your networks, drill down into any network or any Cisco Meraki clients, drill down into individual clients, passing traffic through Meraki products, and getting information about bandwidth consumption, application consumption, apply firewall and policy rules, etc. So really, really awesome. Other things, because we are cloud-based, we're able to have true zero-touch configuration. So if you have multiple sites that you need to deploy gear to, what you can do with Meraki products, you can actually pre-configure these products in the dashboard, in our web-based dashboard, before they've ever been powered on or connected to Ethernet or connected to a network. You just go into dashboard, pre-configure them with the settings you want, and you could have someone who's not necessarily technical plug them into a rack or power them on, and once they are connected to power and to the internet, they'll grab their configuration settings from the cloud and run with it. So really makes the deployment of remote sites really easy. And then we do things like push out seamless updates, feature updates and enhancements to your dashboard, to your products, firmware updates and that sort of thing. So you just schedule a date and a time when you'd like those to arrive and we'll push them out. You don't have to do any manual staging or installation or things like that. So those are just a few examples of how the cloud makes managing networks, especially distributed networks, much easier. In terms of scalability, we've taken a lot of the sort of on-premise controller hardware, or in fact all of it, and moved it from your on-site network location up into the cloud. So you don't need wireless LAN controllers. You don't need to buy redundant wireless LAN controllers. You don't have AP limits, for example. We've taken all of that infrastructure and moved it to the cloud. So all you need to do is essentially add APs or switches or security appliances for your networks into the dashboard and you're up and running. In terms of cost savings, aside from getting that redundant overlay hardware out of your network closets, you don't necessarily have to spend as much time traveling to remote sites, and you may find that you're not spending as much time training folks because our interface is incredibly intuitive and easy to use, and you'll see that in the demo. So to sort of summarize again, 4 product lines. You can see them here. We do wireless access points, switches, security appliances, and mobile device management. All of these are designed to be 100% cloud managed. And you manage them by logging into our dashboard. So you open up a web browser, you go to the dashboard, which you see up there at the top, and you manage your network from there. Again, from any internet accessible device, whether it's an iPhone, using GoGo in flight if you're traveling across the country, or from your laptop or from an office or desktop. So in terms of our cloud networking architecture, just really quickly, so our gear will sit on premise at your or a customer's location. So you will have access points in your hallways, you will have switches in your switching closet, you will have a security appliance perhaps, but our gear will initiate secure encrypted connections back to our cloud. And by cloud, I mean our data centers that are hosted all over the world. Now it is a secure connection. It's encrypted twice, once with proprietary encryption and then again with SSL, and it's very small in terms of overhead, that connection is. So what do I mean by that? Well, the reason it's small is because we have an out-of-band backplane, basically, cloud management model. And what we're saying here is essentially we're literally collecting the statistics that we need to provide the management and monitoring that you'll see in the dashboard. So, basically things like how many clients are connecting, what applications are they consuming, how much bandwidth are they consuming, Is there a firewall policy that should be applied to this client, et cetera, et cetera. We don't ever see end user data. That's never passed through or stored in our cloud. So that's what we mean by out-of-band control plane. Now, we get a lot of questions about the reliability and the security of our cloud, so I just want to address those here as well. Now, we have data centers that are SSAE 16 or formerly SAS 70 certified. They undergo daily penetration testing by McAfee. We have a very robust uptime service level agreement with them, so 99.99% uptime. And there's a lot of high availability built in. So in the event that there's some catastrophe at one of our data centers, perhaps where your configuration settings for your network is hosted, there'd be a basically near real-time failover to another data center, and you would be okay. We do things like nightly encrypted backups as well. We ourselves are PCI level 1 certified. We have customers that have built HIPAA and PCI compliant networks using our gear. And one thing that I should mention, because it's a big question that we always get, if you are running a Cisco Meraki network and suddenly you lose internet connectivity, that's okay. Your gear will continue to operate with its last known configuration. So your SSIDs will continue to broadcast. If you have any firewall rules, those will continue to be in play. Per port VLAN configurations on your switches will still be there. If you are authenticating to any local radius servers or Active Directory servers, for example, you should still be able to do that and connect and print services and things like that. What won't happen, of course, is you won't be able to log into the internet and tweak those configuration settings. So in the event that you have lost internet connectivity because you have blown yourself up through misconfiguration or user error, we have ways of getting around that as well. There's some local config that's available for every device if you're connected to it or downstream of it. All right, so that was a whirlwind introduction to Cisco Meraki products. Right now I want to grab Jay and David and get them on the line. If you guys are on, if you don't mind just introducing yourselves and telling us a little bit about your role at Rancho Cordova.
Hi, my name is Jay Hadley. I'm the Information Technology Manager for the City of Rancho Cordova. I've been here since the city became a city in 2003, but part of that was on contract basis. And David McCoy, my IT analyst, is joining us today. Hi, Dave.
Hello. Been with the city since 2007, and I've been responsible for all the testing and implementation of all our Meraki gear, so I'm pretty excited to talk about that with you guys today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So I was just wondering, for the benefit of the folks who are on the call, if you don't mind just giving us a little bit of background about Rancho Cordova, what, how distributed is it, how many, buildings and things are you overseeing here?
So Rancho Cordova, we were pretty much contained just in one building for a while, and we currently have 3 other facilities that we're maintaining. The other thing we've also expanded on is we have a park district in the area that's a 52-year-old park district, and we now are their IT department also. We sell services to that park district, and they have basically their district office, which they've also moved into City Hall on the other side of our building, and then they have 5 remote facilities, and we're deployed Meraki throughout all their facilities to handle their internet needs.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We have staff that work. We also have staff that work out of their vehicles, and we've moved forward into a project where we're using actually Meraki Z1 teleworkers in vehicles and making direct LAN connections to vehicles that are in the field.
Nice. That's using the cellular, I'm assuming?
Yeah, we're using a Verizon LTE 4G air card in the Z1. And then we've got quite a few Meraki switches, both on our VoIP backbone, and we network core switches a few months ago. So we've got a lot of Meraki products here.
Great, awesome. So we're gonna dive into a bunch of those actually, or at least a bunch of the nitty-gritty with your configuration in the next couple of slides. I did want to highlight some of the ways that Cisco Meraki sort of helps folks get control of sort of central management with their network. And I know that you must have been having some challenges with your prior solution. Was there anything in particular that was causing you pain that you were looking to, why were you looking to refresh hardware and pick new gear?
Well, our first implementation of Meraki, we were looking for a better solution than what we currently had as far as our wireless inside City Hall. We had 9 access points in here before, 2 controllers, a server, and a router, and it's just a lot of hardware to maintain. And we had originally put that in City Hall when we first moved in here in 2005. We installed that, started having hardware failures. Looking at the cost that we were spending on just the yearly renewal on that hardware, Meraki had been following some of that information for a while, and decided to bring in one of their access points and try it out. And we were highly impressed with the cloud management basis of that, and moved forward and deployed access points. We ended up replacing 9 of our previous access points with just 8 of the Merakis and had better coverage. So it was delightful for us to have something that was easy to manage, and got rid of a lot of hardware.
Okay. So I think we did get a question from the audience, which was, are you using any third-party gear side by side with your Meraki equipment right now, or have you gone full Meraki?
As far as across all of our infrastructure? Well, we're using all Meraki for access points. We're using Meraki for our core switches in our data center and our VoIP switches, and we have a couple of the MX routers. But we still have some HP switches in a couple locations, and we're using also a WatchGuard firewall for our edge type firewall. Gives us a little more granular control.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a question that we often get from folks, which is, can I basically install Cisco Meraki gear alongside third-party vendors? And the answer is yes. I mean, we're all standards-based. You could just have a layer of switches, or just use us for Wi-Fi, or just use us for our security appliance if you don't want a full stack. But the caveat I always say is that you can't manage other vendors' hardware using our dashboard. You might have visibility into it. You might get some statistics on, how many clients lie behind it, or perhaps, what kind of bandwidth it's consuming and things like that. But, you would definitely still need to log into at least 2 different interfaces to manage your network if you've got two going on. One other question I love to ask early on is, when you were evaluating different vendors looking for a hardware refresh, were there any particular things about Meraki that made you wary, that you were a little bit concerned about, but then once you got your hands on the equipment, those concerns were resolved?
Well, at the time, the only thing to us is we've had Meraki for a few years now, and Meraki was kind of new out there, and that was somewhat of a concern. But we talked to several staff. They were very amenable to things. We even had one of your engineers come visit us and sit down with us and talk about what we were looking for. Some of the things they actually made several changes in the dashboard and stuff based upon what some of our feedback was, which was pretty impressive.
Okay. Good. That's good to hear. So I just want to switch and start talking about what you were using us for, and hinting a little bit at that. You talked about the mobile, the vans or the automobiles that had the Z1s in there. Can you talk a little bit about what you're doing, how you're securing your network, what's happening vis-a-vis your wireless, and how you've gotten all of that configured, and if there's any special configuration tweaks that you've been able to do using Cisco Meraki equipment?
So we secure our wireless via Active Directory. It was pretty easy for us to integrate that. We have multiple SSIDs broadcasting across our APs. We have our internal LAN, which is a hidden SSID, and we have that sent out via group policy to all of our devices, and then those devices just authenticate through Radius and Active Directory. And then there's a guest wireless LAN that's actually routed out through the internet through a completely separate internet using a VLAN. So that keeps our guest users and our staff completely separated, so there's no risk of anybody getting into our network via wireless.
Okay. Are you guys using any MPLS or anything at the edge, or sorry, out to the internet, or?
No.
Okay. Sometimes we get that question. Great. So which access points are you guys actually deploying? Do you know the model number?
Most of ours are the MR16s. We have MR12, and I think we have just one MR24 that we have, right? No, just MR16.
Just MR16s and the MR12 that we
Yeah.
we use our MR12 to actually we take it off site, we configure it, and we plug it into network locations off of our site, and we can still do that and configure it to broadcast our internal SSIDs from other locations.
Yeah, we've used that for off-site meetings and events and stuff. That gives us a quick way to get internet connection, staff connected to the network.
Nice. We've got another question from the audience, and this is one that we see fairly frequently, which is roughly how many clients are you able to service with per access point in your estimation?
I don't know what the limit is, but I mean, you know, we've sat there and monitored, and we have large community rooms. A lot of people come in for events, and we've seen 163 connected to our community room access points down in our American River rooms.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, but we've never seen a performance problem. Most of those, I would say, were smartphones or iPads that are connecting.
Okay. And we did have one more question from the audience. Do you have any concerns about wireless interference when using the Z1s in those vehicles?
We haven't seen any issue with that. It's just standard Wi-Fi that's in there, but we've in the past used other types of Wi-Fi devices in the vehicles, like just a Verizon Jetpack to provide internet access. But we're looking for a better solution. So having the Z1 in there, and it makes a site-to-site VPN to our MX80 router in the data center, takes the connection, VPN connection software off of the user to implement, and we put thin client laptops in the vehicles, and we're pretty much VDI here, so everybody's running a virtual desktop through that connection. So the nice thing about it is the vehicles being part of the local LAN now is if staff needs to send out an updated report to a code enforcement officer out in the field, violations, our admin staff can actually print to any of their vehicles.
Their printers are sitting on the print server here at City Hall, even though they're out in the trucks.
Yeah, that's nice. And just for the benefit of folks who are not as familiar with our products, we're going through and talking about nitty-gritty implementations of individual product lines that we have. So the access points, of course, we've got a couple of indoor models, a couple of outdoor models there. The MR16 is one of our most popular models. It was made between the MR12 and the MR24, and the Z1 is actually a teleworker gateway appliance. We sort of lump it into the product line with our security appliances, which are the MX security appliances, but it's a great device. You know, all of our MXs have the ability to fail over to 3G, 4G, or use 3G, 4G cellular as an uplink, including the Z1, which has integrated wireless as well. Hopefully we'll have some time to talk about the really slick auto VPN feature built into our MXs, which lets you do site-to-site IPsec in about 3 clicks in the dashboard. So actually, that's the first bullet point here. I was wondering, can you talk about setting up site-to-site VPN between your buildings and how long it took you, how easy or hard it was, if you had any challenges?
It's actually really easy, just like you said. It's a couple of clicks. You tell it what VPN to join and click do it, and it does it. There's really nothing to do, nothing to say.
That's true. It does take.
It gives you a nice little display and says connecting, connected, done.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's true. So again, the MX security appliances, you have the ability to configure full mesh or hub and spoke site-to-site VPNs between MX security appliances or between an MX and the Z1 gateway appliance. And like Jan David is saying, it literally takes about 2 minutes to get site-to-site VPN set up. So I'm glad it worked out well for you guys and that you had no challenges there.
Yep.
Let's see. Is there anything else on this slide that you want to speak to before I move on?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that those VPN connections are actually established really fast because that's why we use them in the truck, because those Z1 devices, they turn on and off all day long, and those guys out there, they expect those devices to work, and so that VPN connection gets established within about a minute, and so that really allows them to stay effective out in the field.
Yep, that's great. And I should also point out that the VPN, the site-to-site, we call it auto VPN because it's almost automatic. It is self-healing as well. So if your external IP address changes or you need to do a WAN failover to another uplink or something like that, all the happens in the cloud. So it's a pretty quick, painless process from an IT management perspective. And we're getting a couple of questions in, some of which I think I can take. One of them is, does the MX security appliance have routing capabilities? Yes, we do support static routing at this time. There's another one, which is, do the wireless access points understand VLANs, or is all that managed over the switches? And the answer is yes. You can do VLAN tagging with the APs if you would like to bring VLANs all the way down to the wireless network.
Yeah, and we're doing that for our gas network. That's how we're getting our gas out to a separate internet connection.
Nice. And there is a question for you that I see on the board, which is, how much bandwidth do y'all need at your locations, and how well or poorly do the Meraki access points handle your traffic?
We haven't had any issue with, we haven't had any complaints about traffic as far as bandwidth. We monitor the thing. We do have, like, the public Wi-Fi is throttled back to 5 megs. We have, I think it's an 18 meg Comcast connection that feeds the public side. We have 30 meg fiber connection here at City Hall, and we haven't seen any bandwidth issues.
Okay. Cool. So I'm going to try to move us along so that we can get to the demo. So I just wanted to highlight managing mobile devices. So looks like you guys have a bunch of iPads and cell phones. Like I had alluded to before, Meraki has something that we call Systems Manager. It's 100% free for iOS, Androids, Macs, and PCs, and we're starting to roll out some functionality for Chromebooks. If you had to give sort of an elevator pitch for this, what are you using mobile device management for?
Well, we actually moved over to the MDM solution. I started that about 3 months ago. We previously had an MDM solution. It was a lot more complex than what we liked, the interface. We started testing out on the Meraki MDM and had great success, and it covered pretty much everything we need out of the MDM. So started having one of our other staff start moving all of our devices. So we have primarily on there is city-owned devices, as well as we have a BYOD policy for our staff. So we do have different profiles set up in the MDM to give different access levels. So we're managing iPads, Android tablets, iPhones, Android phones, and it's working out pretty well.
And it's really simple to use just because it's all policy based on tagging. So you just create some tags, and you can assign a tag to a device, and that tag can install software, limit access, and do whatever you want. It's super simple.
Incredibly flexible too. And we get the question often, so I'll just say it now. Do you need Meraki equipment to run Systems Manager? And the answer is no. You could be running all of our competitor equipment on wireless switching, and at the firewall side, you could still use Systems Manager to manage your mobile devices. But of course, you're going to need to log into the dashboard to manage them. So the nice thing about our solution is that you can definitely, if you have our gear, you can. It's all in the same pane of glass. It's from the same interface. You manage everything. I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about how you're using wireless for public spaces, because this is something that a lot of our public sector clients or potential clients are interested in. Have you had any issues? How did you deploy this?
Basically the same way we do at City Hall. We have at the park district level now, we have like over in the senior center, we're seeing more and more of those people bringing in iPads and stuff like that. So they didn't have any access to that in that building with any Wi-Fi. So we did bring in Meraki solution, installed that, and now now the visitors over there have Wi-Fi access. It's because they're a facility that's about 3 miles from where we're at, so instead of running over there doing anything, if they have an issue, we can easily log in the dashboard and see kind of what's going on, and if they need any special setup. So yeah, that was a big reason for moving to the direction of management this way. With a small IT staff, the remote management makes it a lot more simple for us to respond.
Good. Yeah. No, there's a bunch of built-in, and we'll see it in the demo, but a bunch of built-in troubleshooting and diagnostic tools that are built right into the dashboard for the Meraki equipment, and even a couple of things that you can do for client devices. And if you have our device management installed, there's a slew of tools there as well. So we'll get there.
Yeah,
so I think you guys talked. Ooh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but I was just going to mention at the golf course, the Park District golf course, it's really out in the middle of nowhere. They had a DSL connection for their credit card transactions. It was running about 256K, was about the best that we could get out of that thing. So we ended up putting an MX60W out there with a Verizon Air card, and they've been running on that now for about 6 months. And that works so much better for them. They love it.
Nice. No, that's awesome. That's good to hear.
Well, one thing you didn't mention, that just real quick blurb, is you guys do have a nice app for your phone also that has been greatly enhanced lately, where you can actually, from your smartphone, see what's going on with your access points and switches.
That's true. That's true. We rolled that out recently. We're continuing to build that out. In fact, but yes, if you want to manage or definitely get specific details about your wireless network, we do have an app for that as well. That's good. So I think we talked about this. This is very cool, actually. I like the fact that you've got this device running around with a Z1. I've actually heard of this before with another client that came on and did a customer webinar with us, only they were, it was a healthcare client, and they were using Z1s in their ambulances. Is there anything else that you want to mention here? I don't think we got any questions from the audience on this that I'm aware of. So
no.
move on.
We did a test project with this department at first, and the feedback we got from them was that the Z1 solution was so much better. The software connection they were using before was up and down, and they had to reconnect, and now they just feel like they're connected so much more solidly. So.
Okay. It's good to hear. Good to hear. So the air show. Could you talk us through a little bit about this? What was this?
So the California Capital Air Show is a nonprofit group that puts on an annual air show here just at Mather Air Force Base, located in Rancho Cordova, and so they have staff that work year round, but David and I pretty much support all their communications need at the field. They had a few years ago they came to us and said, hey, they needed a solution where they could sell tickets at the gate. Well, being the gates are way out on the tarmac, it was kind of scratch your head and figure out what we need to do. We ended up working with the VA hospital and put an access or a wireless deployment on top of the VA building, and shooting a signal down to the airfield, and using Meraki access points now at the gates to feed internet access for ticket sales, and also for our VIP tent, the Governor's Club tent. We've access point in there so people have Wi-Fi in there. And then we've added on several vendors that will need that also. So the Sony had their big PlayStation truck out there, and they use that for their main internet access. And then Aerojet had their launch pad with flight simulators, and that was all fed with Meraki access point. So it works out real easy to pre-configure and go out there and deploy that just for a 3-day event.
Nice. Cool. That's really cool, actually. That's one of the neater stories that I've heard. All right, so this is the last slide before we get to the demo. I was wondering if you guys don't mind sharing with the audience what your future plans are, if there's anything else on the horizon for you vis-a-vis Meraki products, or how you're going to design and manage your wireless.
Well, our future plans is we've had great success with the switches and stuff we've moved over, is eventually replace all of our peripheral switches we have in our other facilities to Meraki, so we can also manage those. We also want to expand the Z1 teleworker. We do have staff that work from at home. We have directors and people that they're right now using a VPN software connection on their laptops, but exploring the possibility of having Z1s pre-configured, they can take home, plug in their internet, and then be directly connected through the site-to-site. And then we're also talking with the park district about expanding the Wi-Fi capabilities in the parks and stuff, and making offerings available to the public.
Fantastic, fantastic. So we had what I'm going to do. Thank you. I really appreciate you guys sitting here and going through those slides with me, and we still have a whole slew of questions coming in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually log into the dashboard and get to your network. And while I do that, there's another question from the audience, which was for the Z1s to VPN it back to your offices, I guess, to your network. I think they wanted to know what specific device is it connecting to at City Hall. That's the question.
We have an MX80 here that it's connected to.
Okay.
Yeah, the Z1 does require that to use the Z1 out in the field or any offsite location. It does require an MX router to connect to create that VPN connection.
Right, to connect to to create that extremely simple site-to-site VPN.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, no, we always do get that question, which is, do we support third-party firewalls in a sort of site-to-site VPN setup? And the answer is yes. If you have some other vendor that's supporting IPsec, sort of your standard IPsec, we can do that and set up networks as well. But it's going to take a little bit more effort. You're going to have to maybe perhaps set up firewall rules if you're using a hub and spoke topology, and you're going to have to sort of manually go in and type in your shared key and stuff like that. All right, so here we are. This is you guys, right? This looks like.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay. So what I did for the benefit of folks on the call is what any of you would do if you had our equipment. You would simply open up a web browser, go to dashboard.meraki.com, log in with your username and credentials. There's a view like this that you can get dumped into by default, basically showing you which sites have Cisco Meraki equipment. So where in the world your gear lives, you can look very quickly and see sort of the health and connectivity status of your gear. So green, of course, means that things have been online for the last looks like, and then sort of slivers here of red for reboot. Some other things that are a little bit more red. Very easy to sort by usage. You could do things like, okay, well, which networks have switches in them? You can tag your networks if you want to search that way. Sometimes you have customers with hundreds of sites deployed. As I go through this, Jay and David, let me know if there's anything in particular that you want to highlight, or if you want to chime in with any stories. Just let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to probably go through and talk a little bit about the MXs, the switches, the APs, and if we have time, mobile device management. Just real quick.
Okay.
All right. So let's go on and look. I'm just going to have pretty much time to show sort of the killer features of everything. We're not going to have a lot of time to dive in. Let's see. Do you have an MX? Here's your MX80. Let's dive in here. So the MXs, again, these are our security appliances, UTM boxes. You can, if you'd like, get content filtering, security filtering. So we do anti-phishing, anti-malware filtering. We also have integrated intrusion detection and prevention with through SourceFire Snort. So we're the first Cisco product to completely integrate with SourceFire Snort. All of our equipment will have summary reports that you can email to yourself or come into and get statistics and view trends on your network from. So things like, which are the top used applications or the top clients. All of our pages will have, all of our gear will have something similar to this. It's a configuration page for the device itself, where you can come in and get status information like live port panel views, information about uptime. There's a slew of live tools here that'll differ a little bit based on what kind of device you're looking at. But these are sort of where you can come in and perform a couple of basic troubleshooting or diagnostic tasks to get information about your device. And we also have integrated packet capture for all of our equipment. So, if you are, even on your iPhone and need to run a packet capture on a Meraki device or a client device, we do support streaming to CloudShark. So it's really slick. You can come in here, type in a filter expression, maybe an IP or a MAC address, and stream your output to CloudShark, and then basically contain your logs in the cloud for your packet capture. So pretty slick device there. I'll show you this on the MX. All of our, well, let's see, you don't have all that many clients. Maybe we'll do this one on the wireless side. I think the main feature that I'll show here is basically setting up that site-to-site VPN. So the way it looks when you first set up your MX, your site-to-site VPN is disabled. So what you're going to do at the first MX, you're going to come in, you're going to enable site-to-site VPN, you're going to decide whether you want a mesh topology or whether you want a hub-and-spoke VPN, and then you might actually be done. It depends on how many local subnets you have and what you want to export over the VPN. So you would sort of say that here, and then once you hit save, because that's the only other thing that you have to do, and you go over to the next MX, or the Z1, or whatever it is that you are configuring, depending on your location, your remote VPN participants will start to pop up. So they would show up here. And what you could do is, if you wanted to at that point, go in and monitor your VPN through our VPN status page. So we can see we have 2 devices here. This will load in just a second. But this is a great page because it's showing you exactly which subnets are exported over VPN. So one of the devices is offline, but if they were both online, you would start to see heartbeat pings here. So we can let you know very, very quickly if something is offline. So that is the MX security appliance. I'm going to guess one of these is a switch. Perfect. So our switches have some great visibility. All of our gear has the exact same visibility into clients and into applications. And I'll show you that visibility when we get to the wireless, because that'll be more interesting. There'll be more clients. But just know that it's there. You would go here to see that visibility. With the switches, you can obviously come in and get a list of switches in your network. So, for this particular network, there's 5 switches. You can come in and perhaps use what is the killer feature of the switch, which is something that we call virtual stacking. Oh, and I was just told that we have a question from the audience about the MX, which is, can you have multiple SPs connected to your MX? And the answer is yes. All of our MXs support dual WAN uplinks. You can actually prioritize certain traffic out of certain uplinks as well if you'd like to do that. This is a good question. So switches, the killer feature, like I said, virtual stacking. What you can do here is see all of your switch ports in your organization, or in your network, excuse me. So right now those 5 switches are translating into 232 switch ports. Now it doesn't matter what model of switch we're talking about, it doesn't matter where in the world the switch lives, all the switch ports are listed here, and you can do things like say, okay, I want to only operate on ports 1 through 10 across all of my switches. So here's 50 switch ports now, and maybe I only want to operate on the ones that are, trunk ports. So now we're looking at ports 1 through 10 that are trunk ports, so that's actually 45 switch ports across all of our switches. And at this point, there's a slew of other search criteria that you can use, either through this GUI interface. There's some additional functionality that's documented in our documentation, but you could even do something that's like, that are connected to MR access points, for example. But once you have your list of switch ports, you can select them all and hit edit, and this is where you would come in and do things like tag the ports, name them, enable features like spanning tree, PoE, if you have any port schedules to turn the switches on and off, or switch ports on and off at various times based on a template, you could set that. If you have, these are trunk ports so you can't see it, but if you had any access policies, so you were using a server or MAC whitelisting to authenticate users or devices in order to allow them to pass traffic through your switch port, you could set that here, and then of course you could set VLANs. And we would be updating 45 ports en masse remotely in this case if we were to make those edits. That is the power of virtual stacking. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come in and look at the wireless. Let's pick a good wireless network here. So this is where we'll spend a lot of time here because a lot of folks are really interested in wireless. So in terms of usage, this guy. So one of the neat features of our wireless dashboard pages is the ability to come in, you can place your gear on a map, so you can literally, we integrate with Google Maps, you can put your access points on a map. If you had floor plans, and then you do, you can also upload floor plan views of your organization. So if I click here, here's a floor plan view, and you can see exactly where those access points are placed on your floor plan. So if you're getting complaints about wireless over in this area, to go look at this access point and see immediately if it's green, if it's healthy, good. We can come in and say, okay, here's the current clients that are connected. How many clients have connected over the past day? So it looks like this access point gets a little bit more traffic. So we can dive in here. Here's the local, the configuration page for that access point, some different live tools. Where it gets fun is the clients page. So this page is present in all of our gear, whether it's a switch or an access point or a security appliance. But what it's showing you is for a given amount of time and for a given network, here's the bandwidth consumption across your network. So, and here's the clients that are listed. So we had 300 clients, unique clients, connect in the last week to this wireless network and pass traffic. And here's their bandwidth pattern. Now you can see who's online right now based on this little green icon. There's a whole slew of different criteria that you could add here. You can drag in. One of the things that I like to show people is we have this cool Google-like contextual search ability. So we call this device fingerprinting. You don't need to install anything on your client devices for this to work, but you can literally search by the manufacturer of a device, the type of device that we're talking about, the MAC address, the user, the description. So right now we can see immediately we've got 53 iPads out of those 300 devices that connected for the last week. Similarly, we do application fingerprinting. So here's all the applications that have consumed bandwidth in the last week on our network. If I come here and I click more, I can very easily sort them by usage. Now we're cloud-based, so we're constantly updating this list of applications in the background. So as new applications, new websites come online, we're updating this list for you. And again, this is built into our gear, this visibility. You don't have to install anything on client devices to see this. But it's really easy to begin to say Netflix. If this were a sort of an application that we were concerned about, it was consuming bandwidth. We wanted to see who was actually using it. We could come in and get a little bit more information about Netflix. Here's the top devices. So if there were 30 users, you would go all the way down to the top 30. This Android device here seems to be using the most Netflix, but there's a couple of PCs and things. I could click into any one of these devices and it will show me, so this particular device is not connected now, but it was last seen on this date, connected to this wireless network, connected to this particular access point, and I could click there to get into that access point and configure it. And if this device were connected in real time, you'd see some real-time signal strength information here. So maybe for the last week, we could see sort of the usage pattern for this client. So yeah, again, a lot of Netflix. There's some tools here like pinging a packet capture on it. I could immediately apply a policy directly to this client, perhaps block them, or if I had a group policy defined that would limit Netflix usage, I could apply that. And I could even apply it by SSID. Maybe I don't want them on particular SSIDs, or I'm only concerned about Netflix usage if they're connected to a particular wireless network. So you have a lot of deep functionality like that. If you wanted to actually go in and control the traffic, so shape and throttle it in some way, you can go and create group policies. So you would just name a group, policy something, decide whether you want scheduling for it. So maybe you only want a policy that's available on weekdays. You don't really care what your wireless bandwidth consumption is on the weekends. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But you can enable scheduling. And then what you can do is come in here and create firewall and traffic shaping rules. So you can come in this deep application visibility. You can come in and outright block entire categories of content. So maybe we want to block all peer-to-peer. Maybe we just care about BitTorrent. But if you don't want to block traffic outright, you want to prioritize it or throttle it in some way, that's what traffic shaping is for. So you would come in, you would add, let's say, oh man, I don't know. Let's see, Netflix was one that we just saw. Maybe there's Hulu, maybe Google Video. Maybe these are the applications causing me grief. If I want to throttle those, I could choose a limit and just drag and drop. So literally, as soon as packets are hitting the access point, Netflix, Hulu, and Google Video get throttled to 250 kilobits per second, and BitTorrent is blocked for any user, group of users, device, or group of devices that get this policy. Now, if I wanted to prioritize these applications, you literally just ignore any limits and make sure that that is set to unlimited. So super easy, super quick, and intuitive to shape traffic, block traffic, set firewall rules. There's a lot we can go into. We've got a few minutes left in this presentation, so what I'm going to do is actually switch back out to the deck. I'm going to run through these slides really quickly, and then hopefully we'll have a little bit more time for questions. Now, we do have a really fantastic eval program. If you want to try out switches, security appliances, or access points, or Z1 teleworker gateway appliances, everything we make is available for free eval. Just go to meraki.cisco.com/eval or give us a call. It's really no risk to you. We'll pay the shipping both ways. So it's a great way to get your hands on Meraki equipment and test drive our gear in your own environment. And just to sum up, once more, we do make wireless access points, indoor and outdoor models. We make security appliances. We've got a bunch of models from everything from branch networks all the way up to like big headquarters, main campus type MX security appliances that support thousands of users. And again, we also have the Z1 teleworker gateway device. We have access and aggregation switches. So you know, a bunch of data specs are up on our website for these, but again, you get the same sort of visibility into client devices and applications that you just saw with the on the wireless side. And we have Systems Manager. So again, 100% free mobile device management for iOS, Androids, Macs, and PCs. Okay, that was the whirlwind tour of Cisco Meraki products. I'm going to pause for 1 second, ask my colleagues in the room if there are any other questions that came up most commonly, and we'll address those in 1 second. I had a question about licenses. How did that work? So I didn't touch on that, but it's actually a very unique feature of Cisco Meraki products. We make it super easy. There's just 2 SKU numbers that you have to worry about. You buy your hardware, whether it's a switch, an access point, or a security appliance, and then you have a choice of license to go with it. And the license is 1, 3, 5, I think all the way up through 10 years. That's it. Every device needs a license. That license will include all access to the cloud-based dashboard features and functionality for that product. It will include all of your technical support, and it will include all of the feature and firmware updates that we're going to push out to you over the course of your the lifetime of your license. So, which is usually every quarter, or if not sooner. So real feature enhancements and updates, not just firmware and bug updates. We actually push entire features out to clients. So like analytics or you know, the layer 3 routing that we just enabled on some of our switches came out to folks who already had bought hardware, and you know, they woke up one day and found those features. I also got a question about whether this recording and slides would be available to you guys, and yes, we are going to make a recording of this presentation and these slides available to you in a few days. What you want to do is check out meraki.cisco.com/webinars and scroll down to the bottom of the page. We've got a bunch of repository webinars there. I'll be right back. Let me see if there's any more questions. Is the MDM really free? Yes, it is really 100%. There's no trick. Literally, if you want mobile device management, you should go to our website, find the little product page for Systems Manager, and you can get started today. It is 100% free. Another question on Drew policies, which is, can you set bandwidth limits per device? The answer is yes. So both our security appliances and our wireless access points allow you to set firewall and traffic shaping policies. So you can go in, you can set layer 3 or layer 7 policies to block, throttle, prioritize, or deny traffic. Question for you guys, Jay and David. Were any BYOD users concerned about having the Meraki mobile device management on their personal devices? And did you handle that?
Yeah, I mean, we did cover that in our BYOD policy, and some of them did have some concerns. We kind of went over that with them and explained to them what the reasons were behind that stuff. So it was a choice to them. If they want to bring their own device and have access to company information, then they had to accept the policy. Mm-hmm. We've had great adoption on that. So and so far it's been good. We've also had 2 people lose their devices, and through the Meraki we were able to locate where they last had them, and they actually were able to recover them.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I've heard that story in different variations from a bunch of people. In fact, that's cool. Let me check and see if there's any more questions here. I know there's a bunch that have been coming in. If you've asked a question and it has not been answered, have no fear. We're capturing these, and we're going to be sending them off to your Cisco Meraki. Should be calling you back with some answers.
The one thing you might want to mention is the alerting capabilities of the Merakis also, because we have alerting set up on a lot of our stuff. So if there is something that goes down, we get notified.
Totally. Actually, that's a good point. So you can, in fact, set that. You can do, let's see, let me go see. We've changed our, it might be under network-wide settings. Do you mind if I go in there? Or?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, let's see. I think it's in here. It's a good point. In fact, with our MX security appliances, you can also do basically real-time, let's see, here we go, network alerts right here. So you can enable alerts if things go offline. Right now I think we are in a wireless network, so here's the alerts for the wireless side. With our security appliances, you can definitely the real-time notifications if devices go offline. So it's a great way if you've got like point-of-sale equipment or things like that that don't necessarily connect to traditional monitoring solutions. You can have that enabled. But everything, our switches, our security appliances, and our wireless will have alert areas just like this where there's options for getting notifications for things. All right, I think we are out of time. There's one more question I'll take because Olivia just frantically wrote it on the board, which is, can you create splash pages for guest Wi-Fi? And the answer is absolutely. I did not show you this page for the wireless, but essentially this is where you would come in and configure an SSID once you've created it. So all of our access points support up to 15 unique SSIDs. And what you can do is come in here, set your association requirements. This is where you would decide if you want a splash page or not. You can say, I want a page. I want to perhaps integrate with Facebook logins for a splash page, let folks authenticate using their Facebook credentials, et cetera, et cetera. And it's very easy to configure these things. You can configure them straight from the dashboard. So we're out of time. We're at the top of the hour, so I'm going to let you guys go, but thank you so much for joining today's webinar. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to follow up with us, give us a call, or reach out to your Cisco Meraki rep. And thank you for your time. Hopefully it's been useful.
The organizer has ended the session, and this call will be disconnected. Goodbye.